Running out of gas on Confederation Bridge won't just leave you stranded over the open ocean, they'll charge you over $100 to rescue you. So fill up your tank before you cross. Trust me on that one. Welcome back, this is day 5 of our Maritimes journey, and right now, we are crossing one of Canada's most iconic structures, the Confederation Bridge. The only road connecting Prince Edward Island to the rest of Canada. We're beginning our crossing here in Borden-Carleton, Prince Edward Island, preparing to drive across the Northumberland Strait into New Brunswick. And unlike a ferry, this bridge never closes. 24 hours, 365 days, it's always there. Now, as we approach the toll plaza, let's talk about the toll. Because this surprises a lot of people. There is absolutely no charge when entering Prince Edward Island from New Brunswick. You drive right in. The toll is only collected when you leave PEI and head toward the mainland right here at the Borden-Carleton Toll Plaza. The process is simple. You slow down, pull into a designated lane, and payment is processed quickly. You can pay by cash, debit, or any major credit card, and here's a little bonus, all Confederation Bridge tolls are completely tax-exempt. A toll collector is typically available during regular hours for cash payments, while automatic self-serve lanes run around the clock, day and night. And if you're a frequent crosser, Straight Pass is an electronic tag system that handles everything automatically and contactlessly, no stopping, no fumbling for your wallet. Once you've paid, you roll straight onto the bridge without delay. A system designed to keep traffic moving smoothly, which matters a lot on a bridge this long. So how much does it actually cost? As of this recording, a standard vehicle is $20. Motorcycles are also $20. Now here's something most people don't realize: you don't actually need a car to cross Confederation Bridge. If you're traveling on foot or by bicycle, the bridge runs a shuttle service that carries you across the full 12.9 kilometers over the Northumberland Strait. A pedestrian ticket is just $4.75. Cyclists pay $9.50 for the shuttle, and your first bag rides completely free. Each additional bag after that is just $4.25. I've included a link to the official Confederation Bridge website in the description below. Check it for the most current toll rates and travel conditions before your trip. And now, we are out over the water. Take a look around. The views out here are something else entirely. You may notice something interesting as we drive. In most standard passenger vehicles, the concrete barrier walls running along both sides of the bridge, standing approximately 1.1 meters, or about 3.6 feet tall, actually block your direct view of the water below. These reinforced walls aren't just for safety, they also act as windbreaks, shielding vehicles from the powerful winds that sweep across the open strait. It's smart engineering. If you want an unobstructed view of the ocean, you'll need to be in an SUV, truck, bus, or RV, something tall enough to see over the barriers. Speaking of engineering, what you're driving across right now is a massive concrete box girder structure that took 5 years to build from 1993 to 1997 at a cost of roughly $1 billion. The Confederation Bridge officially opened to traffic on May 31, 1997, and it hasn't stopped since. It holds a world record, the longest bridge ever built over ice-covered water. Every element of this structure was specifically engineered to withstand freezing temperatures, shifting ice flows, ice pressure, and the brutal winter conditions of the Maritimes. So yes, it is extremely safe in winter. The bridge was built for exactly this. And while we've been chatting, we've already reached the halfway point. 6.5 kilometers down, 6.5 to go. The full span is 12.9 kilometers across the Abergwite Passage of the Northumberland Strait. You'll also notice the bridge has a gentle curve to it, and that's intentional. The curve is a deliberate safety feature designed to keep drivers alert and prevent the kind of highway hypnosis that a perfectly straight, open water crossing could cause. At the posted speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour, the full crossing takes approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Short enough to feel effortless, long enough to take it all in. We are now approaching the main navigation span, the highest point of the entire bridge, rising approximately 60 meters above the water. That clearance is there for a reason. It allows large vessels, including cruise ships, to pass safely underneath. Because of this elevation, and the bridge's exposure to open water, it's always worth checking wind conditions before you travel. Especially if you're driving a high-sided vehicle, like an RV or transport truck. Strong winds can occasionally trigger temporary restrictions for those vehicle types. A quick check at the official website before departure can save you a very long wait. And through the windshield now. There it is. The New Brunswick shoreline. We're coming off the water and approaching Cape Jourimain, New Brunswick. If you want the best photographs of the bridge after crossing, this is your stop. And just like that, we're back on mainland Canada. We hope this drive answered your questions about tolls, shuttle services, road conditions, and exactly what to expect when you make this crossing yourself. Before we go, we want to hear from you. Have you ever crossed Confederation Bridge, on foot or by bicycle? Would you take the shuttle, just for the experience? Drop your answer in the comments below. Thanks for riding along on day 5. Stay safe out there. And we'll see you on the next road.